when you're doing this networking, you are engaging, you are giving, you are providing, you are looking for ways to connect and help other people. And that's how you get the help in return. You don't walk up to somebody and say, hey, what, and know anybody who can buy and sell? Want to give me a lead? No. Oh my God, how dare you? What's weird? It's so weird, right? No, you're walking to somebody and be like, oh my God, tell me about your woman making waves. Like, how can I help you with that? Like, who's your, the question I always ask anybody I meet is like, who's your ideal client and how can I find that person for you?
Hi, I'm Cheryl Medeiros.
And I'm Colleen Hungerford. And this is We're Doing This Right, right? Podcast for the whole woman, mind, body, soul, and business.
It's humor infused, as real as it gets, inspiring, and you'll walk away with real usable tools for life and business.
If you love what you're hearing, please share with a friend, subscribe so you'll never miss an episode, and rate and review whenever you listen.
So find your earbuds, lace up your walking shoes, or cozy up with a beverage of your choice. It's time to dig in. Welcome back to We're Doing This Right, right? I'm here with Colleen, of course.
Hi, here I am.
We are here with Tyler Skinner today. She is the founder and light behind the organization Women Making Waves. She's passionate about connecting women and community, and she has another organization that took off in the last year or two called The Next Wave, where she is connecting young women with mentors. And I love that. And then I know she's got some exciting things that she's working towards for her next endeavor, all focused on lifting women entrepreneurs, lifting women in general, connecting women, and just fulfilling their life. So welcome, Tyler, and thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love this. I love the title. We're doing this right, right?
Right?
I mean, it's our way.
I think we are.
Doing this right because it's the right thing for us.
Right. And pivoting is fine. Rewriting your story is fine. All the things are fine. It's right while it's right. And when it's wrong, then change it. So
I like that.
That's where I'm at. So Tyler, I talked about you in about 2 seconds. So I know you're a lot more than the brief intro I gave you. So will you tell me who you are and what you're doing?
That's such a hard question. And since I ask so many people that all the time, I find pause because we are so many things. And in any given day, we could be 20 of those things, one of those things. I think the most relevant to the show would be, obviously, yes, you said founder. I love that. But I would say I'm a true connector and a creative behind that. And then a community builder. Community first is kind of my jam. And collaborations are so important. We kind of need each other. And I've become a bridge, I think, to not only generationally, multi-generations, bringing women together to believe in something bigger, to know that there's more available, there's an abundance mindset, but also in that creative space where we can celebrate, uplift each other, empower each other, teach each other. We all have the wisdom inside. And it's just tapping into that and figuring out what that is and what's our thing. And then really sharing that out in the world. Like, I am the ultimate hype woman when it comes to stand up, show up, and show yourself. Don't even hold back. Not worth it. But it's taken me a while to get there. I mean, and I'm still on the journey. So I think that's what we'll talk about today a little bit.
That sounds like authenticity is your jam, is how I would define that. And I am right here with you. That is I show up as I am, who I am. I'm that person that, like, there's nothing that is TMI. There's nothing's too much information. Like, where are you? Tell me what you're going through and I will share what I'm going through. True blue. I'm not spewing it all over the social medias, but like, if we sit down and have a genuine conversation, which I hope that I do with anybody who's interested, because that's my favorite thing to do is connect. Just like you, Tyler. I think that's why we've bonded since we met, is like, we have that same drive to, like, I want to connect beyond the surface and know who you are.
Thank you for that. That is so true. I want to touch on the social media thing if I can for a second, because I love that you brought that up. That's been something on my heart and mind lately, as social media is a tool that we use for our business and for a lot of other opportunities to connect people in different cities and globally and all the stuff. But I'm like you, Cheryl, I feel the same way. I think that we don't always have to feel like we have to share every intimate detail of everything that's going on with us via social media. I think I commend people, and I'm so there for people who do. And that's not, I'm not judging. What I'm saying is, please don't ask me to do that in order to show that I'm authentic or show that I'm something by doing that, because that's just not what I'm feeling. And I'll share how I want to, when I want to, and what I want to with who I want to. And I think that's important to note. So thank you for bringing that up.
I just wanted to, and we can keep talking about social media, but I wanted to kind of ask you, because you guys are in the Women Making Waves group together. So for us that are on the outside of this group, tell us, what is it? Like, what is the group? Who are the women that are in it? And then like how that all came about was kind of what I was interested in.
Well, it's definitely a COVID based thing. I mean, this is a Phoenix rising moment. So I love this question. Thank you for asking. In 2020, March of 2020, I actually have a business, Connected Communities, and a lot of that was around consulting with nonprofits, being in the nonprofit space, events, everything in person. And in a matter of a week, I lost 90% of my business. And that was devastating. It rocked me to the core. It broke me in so many ways. And I'll tell you why, it wasn't because of the loss of income, all that stuff. Yes, that was hurtful. It was because I had an identity and an ego wrapped up in it. So I lost an identity of who I was, being this community leader or blah, 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 what you want to call it, and being known. And that was the wrong way. I was doing it. And this podcast, we're doing this right, right? I was doing it wrong for me. And COVID allowed me to really, we say shift and pivot. I often say everybody else was running around shifting and pivoting, or shift and pivot. They were like, shift and pivot. And I just looked inward and I'm like, you just have to build it. That's who you are. You're a builder.
Yeah.
You are a take it from nothing, scratch girl, and throw things together like an alchemist, and just move everything around and bring all the right people and the right elements and the resources together and build something. So Women Making Waves really was 10 women on a beach sitting out. We were kind of like, if you're brave, if you feel comfortable with being outside and being in with people, because we all need people right now, then come talk with us. And we set up a beautiful brunch on the beach. People could wear masks or not, and we purged. And that's where I saw the real power of this women connecting with each other. They were from all walks of life, all different industries, all different things. And I went, this is it. So that's where we kind of took it to the next level of panels and different things like that, because it was all virtual, right? So we did the whole pivot to virtual and tried that out. Just said, experiment. What is this about? Let's do virtual events. That was really successful. And then in 2021, we started doing in-person kind of brunches and having these mini retreats so that women can have this escape, not from reality, not like, oh, I don't want to go, but we're all doing a lot of things. And some of us are moms and some of us are running businesses. We're doing a lot at once. And then we had this lockdown and the world shutting down on top of it. So it was a lot of confusion and uncertainty and fear. So my thing was, no, we're going to go. And so it's a little rebellious. I guess there's a rebellious undertone. It started as a movement and now it's kind of a revolution to change the way women operate with each other and with themselves. So it's connecting to yourself to connect with others through adventure, through getting out of your comfort zone. And that looks like mini retreats, workshops, all kinds of things. So we're just evolving. Right now we're doing a retreat in Mexico. I mean, we're just like, what comes up, we're going with the flow and aligning with the things that feel right to bring women to that space of like be real with yourself and with others and do your thing.
And is it all women who, you said it's women of all walks of life, but is it all women who have businesses, or is that not not a requirement, I suppose?
It is not. And that's actually important to us. That's an important distinction. So many of things that we're involved in, so many groups, and they all matter. They're all super valid. So many things around us have a requirement, a certain income bracket, you're a mom or not, you're a business owner or not. Our thing was like, we want everybody. So I know the marketing people out there were like, when they were working with me, they're like, Tyler, you can't do it like that. You have to have a target. And I said, my target is women. That is my target.
Yeah.
But I don't need to have a certain demographic. We can make room for everyone to make space within the construct of this community, Women Making Waves. We can find different mini pockets of things to do in that.
And how has that transition been out of COVID? Like, I know there are a lot of businesses or a lot of groups and things that like sprung out of COVID that have had to transition post COVID, right? Because as people's lives changed post COVID or went back to what they were, like, has that been a transition for you as far as involvement goes with people, or has it strengthened it because now you can be more in person, or is it just kind of grown or organically, as we like to say, into 2024 post COVID?
I think right after it's had a ups and downs. It's been people were really after COVID, like when we actually got released, I will say, from prison, and everyone was like, it's okay to go outside. I think people were still cautious. They were still cautious about meeting in person. What does that look like? And we've all changed. A lot of people were changed by that. They didn't know, am I an introvert? Am I an extrovert? Am I this? Do I love mixers? Do I not? Do I want to do this? Do I want my family? Where's my energy going? I think there was a lot of evaluating going on. And so we saw a varying degree of that going right out of COVID. Now I'm seeing a huge uptick because people are going, I desperately want and desire and crave community.
Yeah.
So we built community first, which is not a common thing that businesses do. They don't start with that core. They start with something else, a product, a service, whatever. Yeah. And then the community kind of comes along with it.
Yeah.
I'm a community first person. So start there. And then all those other products and services and everything tie into the community.
Yeah. It's so interesting. We talked to somebody locally here in Indianapolis, Leslie Bailey, Cheryl, who did the same thing, right? She thought she had an idea, but then and she had an idea, but her idea turned into community first, and like you, has been wildly successful in creating this like lovely community for women. And I think it's just a testament of how women really want to be, and this is through history, we want to be together, we want to be in groups, we want to be communal, like we want to do our work and we want to do it in a way that's communal, whether we're doing it together or we're working side by side, right? Like just closeness and proximity is so interesting to see it kind of continue to be a thing in 2024, you know?
It's such a thing. I don't think it ever really, well, I had a lot of crickets. I won't lie. Before COVID, I had a lot of people kind of going, I had all these ideas and I had all this stuff and I was very forward thinking. And a lot of people were,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know about that. I'm not sure if I'm feeling you. I think we're doing great. Thanks. I don't think we need to partner with these people. We don't need to do that. I'm like, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. And I don't think people saw it and they felt it. And I think they really felt it. I think COVID was that opportunity to feel that at a soul level so that people were like, okay, I definitely don't know what's going on and I don't know what I'm doing. The best gift I ever got was talk about imposter syndrome. You know, a lot of us women, we kind of have that. You know, men have it too,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely see it a lot, very prevalent women. And in COVID, when I was on all these virtual calls globally, I go, oh my gosh, no one has it figured out. This is so great.
Yeah.
Nobody, not even the highest CEOs. I was talking to all kinds of people that I looked at from LinkedIn or other things. And I went, oh my gosh, I can never measure up, but I could. I have something to offer that's super special too. And so do they. And they were like, we don't know. We don't even know. This is new, foreign.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do.
It's interesting as we get further into our careers. I don't want to say older, but kind of. And now your peers start to be people who are CEOs or directors or whatever. And you're like, that I know that person. Like, okay. And there is a kind of a peek behind the curtain, if you will, of like, nobody really knows what they're doing. They're just figuring it out. Like that's become such a reality to me.
I mean, that's the premise of the title of our podcast.
Yes.
We're doing this right? Like, because somebody would look at you, me, them, and they're like, whoa, they've got their shit together. This person is like crushing life. And then, yeah, when you peek behind the curtain, holy shit, we're all just trying to figure this out as we go. There's no one who's not trying to figure it out as we go. It's like that, like with celebrities, how people get the like starstruck, but then you're like, oh, that person's actually just a person fighting all the same internal battles
totally.
that I am in and you are. Like, we're all just people. And all people are going through a bunch of shit. Like, I might have this thing over here figured out, but I'm fucking spiraling over here, you know, and we're all doing it. It's everyone.
Well, and that goes
We're all doing
social media portion of what you guys were talking about before, and especially on like a business page. Like, we're showing, Cheryl and I are very authentic on our social media, but we, you know, talk about this, but like, you're not always showing everybody the real because the real is messy, and the real is scary. And the real is like,
well, and it's personal. And I will share that with my nearest and dearest, and like this group of people that have built a tremendous amount of trust in my life. And I think in-person relationships breed more trust than like okay, you're going to DM me, like we're going to know each other. Like, I think social media does have the community and the back and forth, but I think there's something different about being on a phone call, being on a video call, because Colleen and I don't know each other very well, but she knows all the mess. But it's because we've taken the time to like see each other. Our group of moms in our CMC, like they all know the mess too, but we're seeing each other every week. You know, my friends that I get to see in person, my community that I've built here, it's just easier to get vulnerable when you're in person, or like being able to see the reaction that's happening. And yeah, it's like I'm writing my newsletter piece right now, like the personal part of it. And I get more personal there than I do on social media. Like, you're going to see more there than you are, because you are in like the more select, like as we get smaller and smaller, tighter, closer to my heart, I'm willing to show you more and more and more.
yeah.
Yes. And that should be okay. That's my thing. It should be okay
Yeah.
to do that way. And also equally okay to pour your heart out on social media and say whatever. And I look at both. You know, when somebody does that, I go, wow, how beautiful. And I feel for you, and I want to reach out to you, and I feel I'm in it with you, right? But I also am like, if you ask me to do that and make it like you're not doing that, so therefore, that's where I have a problem with.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Like, I'm not doing that to you. You know, I'm not saying you shouldn't pour your heart out on social media. So,
well, and
don't tell me what
let me tell you, wherever that's coming from, that is theirs. That's not yours.
Totally.
You're
But
doing
that's
it right.
kind of a message that's out there sometimes, you know, with you're not being authentic if you're not putting it all out there on display. And I think that that's the misconception that I want people to know. You don't have to feel pressured to do it that way. You can do it whatever feels good to you, and it feels good to have a close circle and do that. But have somebody. That's kind of my thing. Share it, be open about it, talk about it. Yes, the messy, embrace it, work through it, get your counseling, get your stuff. But it doesn't all have to be aired, broadcasted.
Yeah.
If you don't want to.
Right. Certainly not sharing the same things I'm sharing with my therapist, with everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. And some people do. And then it's like, okay, but that's your truth and that is your story. Go with it.
Yeah.
If that's what you feel like doing, do it.
Tyler, can you talk to us about the next wave? I was so intrigued when you brought that up, Cheryl, before we started recording, on like what you're doing, because I'm listening to you, I'm like, wow, she's so great, she's so dynamic, and she's got these great groups. Like, this helps a lot of people, but you're already like doing that. So tell us a little bit about what the next wave is.
Yeah, the next wave came about. I went to Cal Poly here in San Luis Obispo for school, and I just remember really having a hard time finding mentors and finding people to support me when I wanted to go on an entrepreneurial journey young. And the school and the focus, everything was on go to corporate. It was like, you're not allowed to do the entrepreneurial journey. And that to me was like, why? So I had a hard time finding that. And then when I came back 20 years later, dating myself, come back 27 years later, and I'm giving talks to young women in business and all these things at the school and helping teams kind of figure it out when they're like doing their entrepreneurship startups. I'm noticing that there was a huge thing of lack of belief and lack of confidence. And they were all about to graduate. And that was where it started. That was kind of the seed of it. Like, well, you get these mentors, but they're in career. They're like, how do you get to be, it's like some big company that comes in, they support the school, and they give you all these things about how you get into a career. And I love that. And it's so important. But then I'm like, something's missing from the people. There was kind of a crickets, if you will, when I would ask deep questions about what's next or who are you? Do you know what's your why? And they'd go, no idea. It was like I was just told to do this, or this is the way society says, or whatever. And so I started digging in. I started researching, looking at statistics, figuring out like post COVID, what does this look like for this next generation? And being a mom. Truthfully, I'm a mom of 2 girls, and they're young, yes, but I'm like, what's their world going to look like? If we're doing all this healing and all this awesome work with Women Making Waves, what about them? What do they get? And I would start to bring my girls into the events and have them meet the women. My girls benefit hugely from being around these really powerful, very strong, and very vulnerable women, that are open, talking about their stuff, being real and connecting with each other. So that's what I wanted to bring to the next wave. The next wave is personal development all the way. Professional development talks about things like creativity, rest, how are you bringing play into your workspace, that kind of thing. But everything else really focuses on the inward journey. It's called Evoke the Leader Within. So it's about leadership, but being the leader of your life. And that's how you're going to go forward with whatever you do. You could be the CEO of a major Fortune 500 company, or you could be running a business, or you're a mom, or you're a wife, whatever it is, whatever is going on, friends, it touches on all of it. So that's really the idea, is that learning to lead from a place of trust. And that's what we do, is match make intentionally women together to challenge each other and kind of grow. And it's a virtual program. So women are match made across the country. You're not going to know this woman necessarily. So it opens up doors for building a new relationship with someone, opportunities for business, for networking, all kinds of stuff. So it's been really amazing to watch it unfold. And the young women designed it. Like the women of in their 20s and 30s are the ones that kind of designed the workbook and said, this is the stuff we want. This is what's missing. Like the stuff they don't teach you in school. You know what I mean? But you don't have to be in college to be in it, which is another reason. Going back to my Women Making Waves, you don't have to be anything to be in it. We've had women in their 50s that have joined in transition. We've had single moms in the program, and we've had women that are 18, 19. It's just all up in there. Just throw it all.
So incredible. And so you've had one class go through it and complete it, and you have another class kind of going through it right now, right? An annual program. Is that how you're running it?
Yeah, it's a 6-month journey. So you take that journey together, and then you have group meetings. You get speakers to reinforce the topics, and they have a workbook. And then after that, they're part of the community. We have offerings with our community partners. It could be coaching, yoga classes, mindfulness, all kinds of stuff, products that they get to still be part of that afterwards. So they're not just, bye, see you later, you graduated. That really helps. We all know that.
What feedback from a graduate, if you will, most stands out to you that you've gotten? Like, what was your most proud response to the program that you've received?
I think it would have to be this young girl who's, I'm not going to name names, but she's about 18, 19 years old. And one of the things that came out of one of her speaker sessions is she learned about revenue streams. And she said, wow, and yes, she has a job. So she's 18, right? She's not having hundreds of businesses or something. She has a job. And she said, I got another job. And for her, though, watch her from like this quiet, she was on the calls, camera off, not really engaging. Her mentor was like, I don't know, is everything okay? And I said, yes, those are the people that are going to rise even higher. It's those people that feel like they're not engaged, but they still show up. They still are there. They're doing the work. They're just kind of observing, right? They're figuring it out. As she got to the end of the program, she was up on the mic at our event, like sharing with everyone about her thing. And she goes, yeah, her voice was so strong. Her presence, her posture, she was changed.
I spoke to her at that event, and she came and she said, okay, she was really into the revenue streams. And she's like, so buying real estate, what do I need to do?
There you go.
I'm like, okay, girl, like, yes, let's talk about it. Good for you. And at 18 years old, 19 years old, thinking about that, she's going to be so far ahead of her peers. Like, what a gift you gave that person, Tyler, to like have this dream and to execute it and make it happen for someone.
I love to.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I love too that you really recognize that, like, it would have been very easy to write her off, right? Like, she doesn't turn a camera on, she doesn't speak up and whatever. But like, the signals she was also giving were, she was there, right? Like she was there for a reason. If she didn't want help or wasn't interested, she wouldn't show up. So she was showing up how she could, and then you gave her the space to do it that way. and that allowed her to grow. And I think that that's something that we can all learn, right? It's like people don't always show up the way we want them to show up.
Exactly.
But if they're showing up, no matter how, if they're showing up, then there's something there, right? Like we have our Inspire Her groups, and there was a woman who wanted to join, and in the first meeting, she said, I'm not really sure if I belong here because I don't have a big business. And I was like, oh no, you be here however you want to be here and however you can be here. Like, you're welcome to be here. But isn't it interesting how some people from either end, one, you'll count yourself out, or two, other people will count you out.
That's the main one.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so we need more spaces like this, or what you're creating, where people can feel belonging and acceptance, and then they give themselves permission to not count themselves out.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing, is when I learned that I belong in all the spaces, then everyone else in our group will also be like, I also belong in all the spaces, because my energy and the way I'm carrying myself and speaking and the things I'm doing, my action match all of that. And then everyone feels that, and they're like, okay, well, Tyler's doing it, I can do it too. That's what that's what you want.
Yeah.
You want to be the model. That's important.
Colleen and I have talked a lot about that. Like, the example we want to lead as role models. And, we have this space where we're speaking. So we are a role model in some way. It's like, we want to make sure everybody feels like what we're doing is within reach. Like, we're not special. I mean, we're special. I'm special. You're special. Every listener is special. Like, we all have a superpower. We're all special, and you just need to find yours and find your voice and show up in the way that works for you. But what we're doing is attainable. We don't ever want to feel out of reach of people. And Colleen has this big mission of, like, to never be a gatekeeper. Like, don't keep the secrets. No. Don't be a secret keeper. Like, share. There's room for everybody on top. The people at the top are not in competition. They're in collaboration.
Yeah.
That's how they do it. And that's what I want the younger generation to see, is that up here, like, you think it's so unattainable. It's not. They're figuring it out just like you in a lot of ways. But they took steps, or they made decisions toward that thing. They took inspired action toward this thing. They were like, I imagine it, I'm dreaming it, I want it. They put themselves in the room where they wanted to be. I don't even know how many times I've invested in something, or done some coaching, or also put myself intentionally in master circles or things or places where I'm like, why am I here? Like, all these people are like writing books, and you know what I mean? Like, they're just a different level, but that's why, because I need to see that so that I can also say that's what I want to be doing someday. And I am doing it because I'm here. I showed up.
Right.
Well,
step one is to start. I guess step one is to dream, and step two is to start. And starting can look like making the list, or like researching, or it's just taking a step in the direction you have to start, or you're never going to arrive.
And the thing I wanted to,
that's right.
You mentioned, Tyler, in the beginning, and this is something that Cheryl and I stand very firmly on, is like, you just build it. Like, our CMC group that we are, like, so in love with and obsessed with, and how Cheryl and I became friends and colleagues and business partners, came from me being told I wasn't allowed in another group. And I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to make my own group then. Good.
That'll do it. That'll do it for you. You're like, oh yeah?
Yeah.
So watch me go build it over.
Yeah. And I think that is something, people talk to me or ask me or whatever all the time, like, well, how did you get into this? Or how did you get into the networking group? I was like, well, I just made it. How did you start your podcast? Well, Cheryl just asked me and I just said yes. And we're just doing it. Right. Like, I think there is something to be said about women like you and like us who are able to just, and anyone can do it, but it's scary. So, like, it's our responsibility to show people and show women and show people who are almost there, like, you can do it and not fail. You could do it and fail, but you could do it and not fail, or you could do it and it looks really dumb to start with, and then it grows and whatever. Like, I think,
yes,
yeah, you have to be comfortable with being stupid in the beginning, or like
everything.
not going to be perfect. And progress is better than perfection any day of the week, in my opinion. And like something is better than nothing. Just take the step, just start. If it otherwise you're going to get to that end of life and be like, well, I wish I would have, could have, should have done these things. And you won't feel good about that. I can
I
promise
have
you
this little
that.
card next to my desk that I keep every day looking at. And it's just like, start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Like, just what do you have? I have a laptop. I'm going to start a podcast. Like, there's a free app somewhere. There's two people I can gather and we can go for walk and talks. I mean, literally, it's that. And I think people have asked me that a lot with community building. It's like, where do I start? You start. You just grab people, grab your friends, you start, and you share things and you beta test things and you work on things and you build it, because and it does take time, and that's why people get frustrated with it, because they want everything instantly.
Yeah.
And relationships and community are not always instantaneous. It's not this instant gratification thing where you could just be like, hey, I built a widget, I sell it, and then I get an instant high off of that, right? It's not always that.
Yeah.
It is you showing up, having that exchange, the reciprocation, the being there. I mean, there's a consistency to it. It's almost like tortoise in the hare. I tell people, you got to be the tortoise sometimes. You just slow and steady going along. And then by all of a sudden you look back and that person that's rushing is back there and you've already hit the finish line for you, right?
And
whatever that is.
I want to address the failure piece of it. And my opinion on this is like, failure is not doing it and failure is quitting. Yep. If you keep going, and as long as, and not quitting something that you don't like anymore or that no longer serves you or that you have found is not for you, like quit that shit all day long. That's not failure. That's learning who you are and arriving where you're going to be. But when you just stop, when you give up, when you quit, when you don't start, that is how you fail. You do not fail if you continually just move towards the direction that you want to go. And that can change. Exactly. That's the pivot and the shift. Like, that's fine. Regroup, reevaluate, and then keep going.
Yeah. I
had a coach ask me one day that was like, so do you not want to do this anymore? And I mean, my whole body was like, no, I don't tap out. You know, for me, I was like, it's a hell no. And if it's a hell no, then I'm going to keep doing it. So that's my thing, is if it, like you said, Cheryl, if it's hurting you or it's not serving you, yes. But there's a part of you that says, what would my life be like not doing this? And how, if I didn't do this or this part of it or thing, what would I be okay with that?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I evaluate it.
It's so interesting. And I agree like 1,000,000%, right? I spoke to this woman yesterday who has been a realtor longer than me and has never made a sale. And she was like, I want to be like you, Colleen. Like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I've invested hard in relationships and that takes a long time. And, you know, my advice to her was like, I gave Cheryl's Bunko group as the example. I was like, you got to create a group, like you just need a couple women, like try 12. If you can't get 12 and you get 4, get 4, you know, or 2 or whatever it is. And, you know, and she's like, well, I need things now. And I'm like, I get that. Like, I get it. But to your point, Tyler, like these relationships and they're going to take time. And when you're building a real relationship and a business relationship with people, like that takes time and that takes trust and that takes investment on your end. And I think the thing that we talk about a lot, but maybe we don't touch on enough, is the amount of time and energy and effort it takes to build those relationships and build those communities and the time. And, you know, like I've built this business here, you know, my real estate business here really quickly, but like, and I'm not about grind culture, but it meant that I made decisions that invested time into people that didn't pay off immediately, and relationships that don't pay off. They aren't like, oh, I met somebody at a networking event and then the next day they gave me a referral. It was like,
you don't know how many times in my consulting business side I hear that from people, from my clients. Like, I just went to this thing and I got all these cards, or I did this thing, and then it's like nothing. Oh yeah, because what you just went to one thing or a couple things, or that maybe that's not the right environment for you. Maybe that doesn't align with your business or your thing. Find a different group. There's so many options. And I think we limit ourselves to like we got to do this one thing. And if this doesn't work, I'm done.
Well, and invest in
Well,
that.
and like, what are you doing with all those business cards you collected? I hope you're setting up a one-on-one
Correct.
coffee and like leaning into that
Right. How do
relationship
you follow up?
and it's a slow burn. Like relationship building is a slow burn. Colleen and I at the beginning of the year, we both were like, where's the next business coming from? As all business owners, I think, do. It's like, what's
Yeah.
next? And the way that she and I have decided to run our business is relationship based, and that is slow.
Yeah.
It's not, we're not
Slow.
cold calling 50 for sale by owners a day like some people do to get business, which means like we're not buying leads. We're leaning into our community. We're being community leaders, community builders. We're being involved in that is just by nature going to be a slow burn. And that
Yeah.
can feel scary when you're looking for your next paycheck. But
So that's my revenue streams coming in. And that's what people ask me a
exactly.
lot. We were talking about that. And Colleen, I love that you're not a gatekeeper, and I'm not either. And I think that resources help. And one of those things I know is I can say one thing, that if you talk to a lot of successful people, I'm just going to say air quotes because it's by society's terms, right? Successful. And they will say they spend 40%.
Like it's cliffhanger. It's a cliffhanger.
Tyler.
40% doing what? Well, what are they doing?
What are they doing? What are the 40%
Tell
doing?
Tell us what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I'll text her. She said, well, I guess I wasn't meant to share that secret.
Okay, so take us back. You were saying 40%.
I'm going to dive back in. So I was saying that 40%, they spend 40% of their time networking. I mean, that's 40% of their work week. And someone said, do I? Like they were looking at that and evaluating it. And I said, I do that. And much to the chagrin of my husband and all kinds of other people, they're like, why do you have to have coffee with 10 people this week? It's because I'm building those relationships, and I've gotten every opportunity. Everything I've ever gotten in my life that's been amazing has been through that. Through those experiences, people knowing me. I share what I'm up to. I text people and reach out all the time. How are you? What's going on? I'm checking in all the time with everybody. And people pop in my brain and I video chat them. I call them. I send them memes. I just do all kinds of stuff just to let them know that, and touch in and let them know I'm there and what's going on. And I share what I'm up to, and I want to know what they're up to. And that's how we figure out if we can collaborate on something, if I can provide a resource for them, if I can be the resource, or if I can bring them into my thing and my mission and my stuff. There's all kinds of opportunity when we do that.
And I think you touched on something that's really important that I just want to make sure that everybody hears is that like when you're doing this networking, you are engaging, you are giving, you are providing, you are looking for ways to connect and help other people. And that's how you get the help in return. You don't walk up to somebody and say, hey, what, and know anybody who can buy and sell? Want to give me a lead? No. Oh my God, how dare you? What weird. It's so weird, right? No, you're walking to somebody and be like, oh my God, tell me about your woman making waves. Like, how can I help you with that? Like, who's your, the question I always ask anybody I meet is like, who's your ideal client and how can I find that person for you? Mm-hmm. Like that's the part of this that I think people really understand, that obviously you understand so well, is you have to deeply engage with the other person and think less about what they're going to give you and more about what you can give them. And then it comes back to you.
Well, and arrive with arms full of value that you can, exactly. Like what do I have that you need? Let's talk about that. And then that person will in turn naturally want to return the value to you at some point.
And it might not be them.
Or they tell someone else. See, this is the thing is I don't know how many, I just got an email this week from somebody that I haven't talked to in like a year. And she's like, hey, I want to connect you to this person, but I'm top of mind for whatever reason. I posted something on LinkedIn that they saw, they liked, but they know me well enough to say I haven't talked to you in a year. And yet I still want to connect you with this other powerhouse. And you two are like similar, like-minded, and could do great things together. That's what it is. And I that happens over and over and over again when we put in those, I call it ROE, return on effort, not return on, or ROI, right?
Yeah.
On investment. Because a lot of people are like, I paid money for this and I didn't get this. And I'm like, but what did you do? That's what I ask all the time. What did you do? So if you joined that master circle and you paid $15,000 for that master circle, did you show up every week to the calls? Did you reach out? Did you like do the homework? Did you, you know what I mean? What did you do? Like to really be part of that and make sure that investment was working for you? Or did you just kind of go, I spent this money and I was expecting this instantaneous result and it didn't happen for me?
Yeah. I mean, I have somebody in my life who says, well, I just do the tasks. And because I do the tasks, then it should work. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, no, that's not going to work. Like what effort and what energy are you bringing to each one of those tasks? Like what about those tasks that you're doing? No business is built by doing a checklist just robotically, right? Like that's just not life.
Exactly.
Life is not a robotic checklist, right? Like, and I think about people asking me, and Cheryl and I have talked about putting together like a course or something. And I've been really thinking about this, like, how do I teach people what I've done to create my business? Because it is a lot of effort, and maybe not everybody's willing to put that much effort or time into it. But it was just like you're saying, Tyler, like it's me leaving my kids sometimes to go to a networking event. It's me having 75 coffees during 1 week, or like all of those things. I'm so jittery. I've set up like 3 coffees back to back, and I'm like, oh my God.
You switched to tea at some point, Colleen. At that point, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go for like a decaf tea or something.
Yeah,
what do you have? Yeah, what do you have here that's decaf?
My adrenals are just screaming like with red flags in my body. But that's it, right? And I don't look at that as like a grind. I look at that, this is an investment. This is an energy investment in my business and in these relationships, because I want community. Like, and those are the things that are important to me. And so it sounds like that's what you're also doing with Women Making Waves and with everything that you're building. Like, it's just so incredible to observe that, like when you're in it and you're doing it, you're like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. But to see other people do it and see them succeed as well is like really amazing.
That's the best part. That's the best part for me, is seeing it actually happen. And there were many days I sat there and I was like, should I quit? Nobody cares. It's crickets. People aren't showing up to events. They complain about the ticket price. I mean, I got all kinds of stuff. I've dealt with all of it, literally. All the things about, I'm not worthy, to I can't leave the kids. I've heard every single thing that you would ever imagine. I've had everything go wrong that could ever happen. And in events, it's like that. It's just chaos all the time. And a lot of times nobody sees the chaos behind the scenes because they're at the event and they just go, oh, it's a fabulous event. And I'm like, you didn't see like all the thousands of things that happened prior to you arriving, but we just go on with the show. I mean, it's like kind of the show must go on and we have fun and we do what we do, but I can't imagine it any other way. And that's really what I was saying earlier is, what if I was like, would I do this? Would I be okay with quitting today? And then how would I feel tomorrow? Terrible. Because I made kind of this, I feel like I was tapped. I don't know if that makes sense to both of you, but during 2020, when this became clear to me, I feel like I got a tap on the shoulder, like, you're going to do this. And are you ready for it? Are you willing to accept it and take on this kind of task?
So Tyler, tell us where people can find you. Like, how do they reach out to you if they're interested in Women Making Waves or they're interested in the next wave? How do they find you? How should they reach out to you?
Yeah, I'm happy to share. So basically we play on Instagram. So you'll find us on Instagram at women.making.waves, or on our website, women- there's a hyphen in between each one, women-making-waves.com. And then the Next Wave program is on our homepage. So you will just see it right there when you pop in. You can find out more about it.
Tyler Skinner, thank you so much for being here. We have thoroughly enjoyed this and look forward to continuing to be a wave maker.
This was really awesome. It was such a treat to talk to both of you. Colleen, it was so great to meet you. Like, more, I've seen you on the Vision to Reality series, but it's so nice to actually talk to you this way and get to know a little bit more about you. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And yeah, we're all doing it right. I'm just going to end it with that. We're doing it right. Our right. Whatever our right is, that's right.
That's right.
Amazing.
All right. Talk to you soon. That's a wrap. Thank you for joining us on this journey of laughter, life, and growth.
And remember, you're not alone on this path to success. We're right here with you every step of the way.
Please remember to hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And if you found value in today's conversation, we'd be thrilled if you would leave us a review on your favorite platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and anyone who could use a good laugh and some practical insight into navigating the challenges and triumphs of our minds, body, soul, and business.
Remember, we're doing this right.